Isaac Newton was born on January 4th, 1643 in Lincolnshire, England. He attended Trinity College in Cambridge in 1661, where he got his degree in philosophy and mathematics after 4 years. Newton continued to study independently after he got his degree from Cambridge. One of the things that Newton is known for discovering is gravity. One day he was sitting under an apple tree, as stories say, when an apple fell on his head and he started questioning why the apple fell in the first place. Newton later published his theory of universal gravitation in the 1680s. It basically stated that the idea of gravity was a force that acts on all matter in the universe and was determined by both mass and distance. The theory says that every particle of matter attracts every other particle, with a force that is directly proportional to the product of their masses and inversely proportional to the square of the distance between the two. The standard formula for the law of universal gravitation is seen on the picture in front of you, where g is the gravitational constant, which is 6.67 times 10 to the negative 8. Newton also established the 3 universal laws of motion. The first law says that an object at rest tends to stay at rest, and an object in motion tends to stay in motion with the same direction and speed. Newton's second law of motion states that when a force acts on an object, it will cause the object to accelerate. Newton's third law states that for every action there is an equal and opposite reaction. Newton also had a lot of discoveries for mathematics. He came up with the binomial theorem, which is a formula for finding any power of a binomial without multiplying at length. He was the first to create the general method called the theory of flux ions, which was the first method to state the fundamentals of calculus. This concept was published in his book called Method of Flux Ions in 1736. Newton's methods for calculus were based on limits and strict reality, and considering that variables can change with time. He later published a book called the Philosophiae Naturalis Principia Mathematica, where the geometrical form of calculus was explained in the first volume. Newton also made several discoveries in optics. His work in optics includes the study of white light and the discovery of the color spectrum. Newton discovered that when light shines through a prism, that it would show the full range of colors. Newton's theory of color states that objects appear to be certain colors because they absorb and reflect different amounts and wavelengths of light. He also invented the world's first reflecting telescope and the color wheel. He took the colors refracted by the prism and placed them in a segmented circle that was based on the mathematical calculations of their wavelength. Because of his many discoveries for science and math, Newton later became knighted by the Queen of England. Isaac Newton passed away on March 31st, 1727, and was buried in Westminster Abbey in London, England.